We are John and Ellie, the Barefoot Doctors. Join us on this new chapter on our brand new Leopard 45 catamaran as we unearth the jewels of the Med. And the world. Because life is better barefoot.
So thanks again for joining us as we are in North Corsica at a beautiful beach called Corscia. Pristine white sand, crystal clear water and really good holding. This is a really popular place where everyone's having fun, but there is enough space for everyone.
Okay, so we're at a beautiful anchorage yesterday and we had to really move because there's been a Mistral that's... Ooh, careful!
The Mistral is gale force winds coming from the north off the south coast of France. We need to find a safe anchorage or a marina to harbour for those few days while the Mistral blows. So we raise anchor and head off to Saint Florent. So Elizabeth's at the front of the boat with her arm in the air so I can see it from the steering station, and she says change straight ahead, change to the right or starboard, or change to the left. Then as we get level with the chain drops down. She does this with her arm, so that meaning it's pointing straight down. That means I've overrun it, so I need to go into either reverse or neutral. But I'll just show you, run through the steering, because if you're at low revs or if you're going to marina, you can actually lock off the steering wheel and maneuver the boat completely with the engines. So this is the port engine, that's the starboard engine. Obviously, if we go forward with both engines, we go straight forward. If we go back with both engines, we go straight back. Now, if I go forward with the starboard engine, we don't go forward in a straight line, we go forward and curve to the left. Okay, and likewise with the port engine, we curve to the right. The starboard engine in reverse does this action, and the port engine will pull you around like that. So the beauty with the catamaran is that you can rotate the boat on its axis by having an equal amount of power forward on one engine and back on the other engine. The easy way to remember this, if you're having a little bit of difficulty trying to work out which way the boat's going to spin, and this is what I do, if you do this, you're pushing the boat that way, so the boat's going to spin around in that way. If you do this, you're pushing the boat that way, so you're looking, you will see where the boat's going to go. So that's it, guys. Hopefully that was useful.
Mutiny! She's taken over.
Mine at last.
Give us an evil laugh.
With only 10 miles to Saint Florent, we choose to only put up the Genoa and take it easy. It's a grey, ominous looking day, but the winds are light and fluky. We set the sails according to the wind direction, but the wind constantly changes and turns around to be on our stern. So we set up the code 0 and the Genoa to goose wing. Goose wing, usually it's a foresail in the main, but of course if it's the main, you've got to be really careful the main doesn't jibe, where the wind catches the backside and it flies across. In soft winds it's not too much of a jolt, but in stronger winds it breaks stuff. Yeah, and if the boom hits you, you break. So you really try not to jibe. Yep. And you're always watching the back end of the sail. If the back end of the mainsail starts to back, you know you've gone too much that way and you've got to pull the boat round. So generally speaking, when you are going goose wing, you would always steer by hand because it needs those very quick changes. Otherwise you'll jibe under auto helm because of the delay in getting the boat back on course.
We've had 6 knots of wind now, 6.4.
So this is a spring line, and basically because it springs the boat, so this rope stops the boat going backwards, and we do the same thing from the same point to the front of the boat to stop the boat going forward. And these two boats then stop the boat moving forward and back. These two lines, mooring lines, and the stern line and the bow line stop the boat from going out and in. So that's how it works. And generally speaking, you should have your spring lines tight and your bow lines looser. Otherwise you get jerking at anchor if it's rough. So, well done guys.
Yeah, good job.
Successful mooring.
Taste some Corsica wine.
She's married to the producer, and the vineyards are only 6 kilometers from where we are in Saint Laurent.
Ça, c'est la charcuterie que l'on vend ici.
Ah oui.
Vous allez goûter, hein?
Ok.
Pardon, madame.
Merci.
Et ça, c'est les biscuits.
This is the white wine. Oh, I love that. Rosé.
A little bit milder on the tongue.
You go. So this one is 16 euros. It's supposed to be better quality.
Full of body.
So it turns out we like the rosé best. So we're getting a cast to take to the boat. And some these. Ooh. What'd you get?
Citron with mint and rum and raisins.
Oh, nice. Bon appetit. Looks like you got a date with the rubbish bin.
I do. She's just so heavy.
Don't tell her she's going to be dumped. Date night. Where is he taking me? I wonder. There's so many nice little spots though, isn't there? Sunset in, where are we?
Saint Laurent. Saint Florent, maybe.
Gorgeous little marina in Corsica. Anyway, this is the view at sunset in Corsica on date night with my honey.
That's where we're going in a few days' time.
What is that?
The top end of Corsica, round to the north, and then over the top, and then down the other side. As we head south towards Italy, Greece, and Turkey.
So here we are, front cockpit, having a yawn. Nice. I like Corsica. We're having a little old cup of tea, sitting on the front cockpit,
Looking at the people within the boats.
just people watching and really enjoying it actually. Love it. What are we doing, Nat?
We are headed to get some fresh vegetables and fruits so that we can get back to an anchorage while we're here at the marina and it's easy access.
Woo! Yeah, because it's not always easy access, but this time in the marina, we've probably got about 100, 200 meters to walk to the nearest spa or Intermarché. So, and it looked pretty stocked because we came and checked them out yesterday. So plenty of fresh fruit and veg and good supply, and the prices aren't too bad either. So we're in Florent for any of you travelers that are wondering what prices are like and what the facilities are like. So this is where we're going. The spa over there. So the marina is just behind us, so it's very convenient. Okay. Pretty good supply of fresh fruit and veg. Shopping done. Back to the boat. Good job, Nat. Good job with your shopping.
Torture the basil, guys. That's the key, as John says.
After the wine spillage catastrophe, peace reigns again. Actually, apart from David, what's happened, David? Look, he's got the lid off the sofa. He's in contemplation.
There was an SD card that just poof disappeared. And the problem is it's 250 gigabytes.
Oh
of
man.
data.
And look, that's not it.
And that's not it.
And that's not it. It's got to be around here somewhere, because if we don't find it after dinner, we're going to divine for it. Looks delicious. What do we got, Nat? What's it called?
We've got a very Tuscan style pasta with all sorts of mushrooms and tomatoes and veggies. And of course, cheese and cream.
Yum. Thank you so much. This looks delicious.
Yeah.
And the best view in the house.
I thought you were
Looking at the
man.
sheets. David sheets.
Man.
The winds were forecast to be mild in the early part of the day, but in the afternoon it was forecast to get up to 20 knots, at the tip only. The strong winds were then meant to fade away to the north, so Masanaggio should have been a peaceful night's stay. Little did we know.
We're leaving the anchorage here at St. Florent. And we're heading up and over the top of Corsica. Mains up, mains up, ready to go.
So we departed with the rising sun around 7 a.m. and in the company of one other monohull. The wind was light and variable, 4 to 6 knots mostly, and once we got out of the protection of the bay at St. Florent, the sea swell kicked in. This was directly on our beam and unrelated to the wind we were experiencing. Clearly it had been produced by the Mistral blowing some distance away several days ago. But light winds and swell from the side really makes for very uncomfortable sailing, and this 25-mile stretch was very unpleasant. With every wave the wind would be flogged out of the sails, and you either have to put up with it and sail slowly with the flogging or turn your engines on and burn diesel. We persevered, but everything shakes, rattles and rolls, and this was not my favourite sail. As we rounded the northern tip, the winds kicked in, first with a pleasant 10 to 15 knots, then increasing to 15 to 20 knots, and then rapidly gusting up to 25 to 30 knots. Our speeds escalated to match, and we were doing some nice speeds along in flat water, protected because of the wind was blowing over the land. As the wind kicked over 20 knots, we had to consider reefing. But with so few miles to go to Masanaggio, we were going to have to drop the mainsail anyway, so the time taken to reef would probably be the same time as it would be to sail the last couple of miles. The biggest gust that I saw was 33 knots, and the boat reached a maximum of 11.2 knots with that gust, despite me depowering the sails. This was the first real test of this boat, and it handled the situation very well. Despite being overpowered, it was easy to luff up into the wind to reduce the forces on the sail, or head downwind to depower when we didn't have enough sea room to windward. So here we are sailing in 20 to 30 knots, and really everything was relatively easy and calm. While there was a degree of anxiety or excitement in the crew, the boat did exactly what it should have done and got us safely to Masinaggio. Drop the sails, and it's really important to pack the sail properly, put it in its boom bag and zip it up. In strong winds, if the wind comes from behind you, an unzipped mainsail will catch in the wind, fly up the mast and get caught in the jackstays. And this is exactly what happened to one boat in Masinaggio that night. And as we motored in, there was 35 knots of wind on our nose.
It is lunchtime in France, so no answer from the marina. We're gonna anchor down for a bit and see what happens.
This is France, after all. We dropped the anchor in 5 meters of sand. Happily, the Rockner held us beautifully in that position until we did get a berth at the marina. But while we were waiting, we had an experience where the Code Zero, which was still up, unfurled itself at the top and created a lot of excitement as it was flogging, and was very difficult to pull down due to the forces pushing it against the mast and the shrouds. Moral of the story, don't leave your Code Zero up when you do not need it. So the next big challenge was getting the boat into the marina in 35 knots of wind and managing a stern to mooring. This all went really well, but it was still a disturbed night with howling winds all night despite being berthed up in a marina.
Oh, this is better.
On reflection, the weather forecast was very inaccurate, and the tail of the Mistral reached down and gave us a real flogging for about 18 hours. Fortunately, no harm done, and good lessons learnt along the way. Time for passage wine and a platter, before putting our feet up for a well-deserved rest.
If you have liked this episode, hit the like button, subscribe for free, and ding the dong so you don't miss your fix of the next exciting episode. Love and health from the Barefoot Doctors.